Oh man, here we go. This is easily one of the toughest videos I've ever had to produce or make, and I'll explain why that is here further in a bit. I want to say that I make this video with a heavy heart and definitely a lot of disappointment. This isn't the type of content that I care to make or do, but I have to weigh in obviously as a cloud gaming and Stadia creator, and I do feel that this is going to affect Stadia here at the very minimum in the short term. So you're going to hear a lot of negative press here for at least a week. So in a sense, this is Stadia news. With that, if you don't know the context of what I'm talking about or what I'm even mentioning, I'm going to go ahead and explain that here and explain this context before I go ahead and dive into my own feelings. But if you haven't heard what's happened, a certain creative director of Stadia decided for an unknown reason to take a blowtorch to Stadia's Good Stuff Week and for some reason completely pivot the conversation, and I quote, of how streamers should be paying the developers and publishers of the games they stream. They should be buying a license like any real business and paying for the content they use. This was the tweet that really blew it all up. But the first one was how he said that streamers are worried about getting their content pulled because they used music they didn't pay for, should be more worried about the fact that they're streaming games they didn't pay for as well. It's all gone as soon as the publishers decide to enforce it. Now, these are the quotes that really set Stadia trending on Twitter in many countries, including the US. Let's go ahead though and provide further context for you guys so you guys can understand all this before I really get into the nuts and bolts here. Twitch music copyright has gotten pretty bad to where many creators over there had to recently delete their videos because of getting DMCA infringement notifications. So this is what I'm assuming is why he started his little rant. Right after, ironically, the Good Stuff Stadia event. Why he chose this time though out of any other day is still baffling to me, to say the least. This has now gone completely viral. This has been retweeted by the likes of Dr. Disrespect and other notable names, garnering millions upon millions of impressions, and was even #1 trending here in the US, even over US politics. This has gone fully viral. Now, it states that he is the director of Stadia on his Twitter, but when I first saw this profile, as in the know that I am when it comes to all things Stadia, I immediately saw that he lived in Montreal, and I knew that's where they have developing studios for Stadia. So he's really only the creative director of Typhoon Studios, not all of Stadia. But let me tell you folks, right away, this has gone viral. Nobody cares that he is only the creative director at Montreal's Typhoon Studios working on a game. And if he would have correctly identified himself on Twitter, I'm not exactly sure this blows up as much as it did, but this has now been painted as the director of creator of Stadia who has had these thoughts. With that, a spokesperson for Google did have this to say: the recent tweets by Alex Hutchison, creator-director at the Montreal studio of Stadia Games and Entertainment, do not reflect those of Stadia, YouTube, or Google. So Stadia and Google obviously have now officially spoken, and they distance themselves from these tweets, which is good, but the damage is done. If you're wondering, well, this guy doesn't represent Stadia, or it isn't an official word from Stadia themselves, or that he didn't mention Stadia specifically, or it's just some dude working in a game studio for Stadia, guys, well, it just doesn't matter. No, it's going to be the ammo that people need to paint this as a Stadia directive, unfortunately. Now let's quickly address what he said. Obviously, that's just not how it works, and it won't. Technically, yes, publishers could do what he is saying, but it would be really bad for business. Games like Minecraft have blown up because streamers and YouTubers developed massive communities around live and video content. Recent titles like Fall Guys, Among Us are two titles that literally blew up because of streamers and YouTubes. And don't let me get started on Fortnite. The idea behind the fact that we as content creators should pay publishers for the right to cover their game is just plain ridiculous. Nintendo tried something like this years ago, where you weren't allowed to cover their game without really getting hit with a copy strike. Well, the moral of that story, it blew up in their face and they ended up reversing course. So it's not like this idea hasn't been tried before, it just isn't going to happen. But yet here we go. The headlines have already started to trickle in for Stadia, not including the YouTubers who already hate Stadia have started to make videos. Let me go ahead though and give you guys my views. Immediately seeing this, I literally felt like someone punched me in the gut. being completely candid with you guys and being open and honest, I have struggled personally to get support from Stadia themselves in the 1 year of me covering them. Now, I do receive a bit of help with certain things, but let me tell you, it took many months and God knows upwards of 30 or more emails, probably much more, to find that one person who set me on a track to now where I get some form of support. And what I mean by this is just receiving simple news updates so I can better inform you guys on my news videos. I've worked with probably over 100 publishers in almost 2 years now of doing YouTube between Stadia and the Nintendo Switch on my other channel, and I have never had it as hard as I have had it with Stadia, and I cover Stadia a lot, obviously. So this info that came out today made me feel like, dang, now this all makes sense. They don't value Stadia creators. Now, that was just my initial thought when all of this was happening. I don't necessarily think that is true now, since this guy isn't the creative director of Stadia, but of Typhoon Studios. But obviously, it does make me wonder, is this how they universally feel about us anyways? Does Stadia actually want me to pay them to cover Stadia? Is that where we are going now? It's pretty baffling, guys, because things like crowd play, YouTube streaming, crowd choice, somewhere someone thought of these features in regards to Stadia being pushed by future Stadia creators. So obviously, having time now to reflect on this, my initial reactions have calmed down, and I'm guessing this isn't necessarily the case. But I want to say for the record, I have unfortunately received 5 times more support from other big companies on this channel, and I cover them 5 times less, but yet they still give me full support in anything that I ask for, and I'm not really going to go any further than that. I hope I don't sound entitled, because I've actually been very grateful for what Stadia has provided and has supported me with so far, even if it is just a little bit in comparison. But this is still disheartening, to say the least, that the platform that I cover the most has given me the hardest time. Now, as for Stadia itself, unfortunately, it turned what was supposed to be a celebration week into a dark day, and one that I'm hoping does pass, and it probably will. But think about this, guys, for just 1 second. One of the best ways to push a platform is by covering that platform and showcasing all its good stuff, whether through YouTube, Twitch, whatever. Make no mistake, Stadia is an amazing gaming platform that I have enjoyed, but something like this could easily stick in the mind of many creators going forward. What if they no longer want to create for Stadia and encourage the growth of this platform, because someone like Alex wants to go ahead and instead monetize the creators for their benefit? I don't think anything like that would ever happen, but others will now easily think this and stay away. The headlines are going to dominate this and leave a damage that I think is going to stick. I mean, I've seen some of you say that this is the nail in the coffin. Now, I'm definitely not going that far, and I don't think that's the case at all, but this certainly didn't help. On a week featured with good stuff, that was followed by a previous week that was amazing. Stadia, in my opinion, like I've said in my live streams, deserve its due for the awesome hard work that they are doing behind the scenes. The marketing team has done a much better job of explaining Stadia. We are getting more games day and date. Stadia has done so much lately, guys, that is positive, that it's such a shame to see some random creative director at one of Stadia's game studios really overshadow it like this. We won't do that on this channel though, and we'll go ahead and give Stadia its due when it deserves it, but we're also going to go ahead and give its flack when it doesn't. But that doesn't mean that we won't condemn the right people either. Now, I'm certainly not going to call for this guy's job or anything along those lines, but I hope that there is a plan in place to address this somehow, because all of us Stadians, in my opinion, deserve a little better than this. And as for me personally, well, this put me down. But I can feel safe in knowing that I have a community on this channel that is one of the biggest reasons why I enjoy getting up in the morning and work hard for you. So I said this on my live stream the other day. 4 years ago, I was battling cancer, and I had, prior to that, no direction in my life. And even with that, I didn't even know if I would continue to live. But then I found YouTube. And then I found you guys. And thanks to all the support you guys give me, not only have I feel like I have found a purpose that I enjoy and that I'm passionate about, but now I have this giant family in you guys. Now, this has been a blessing that I could have never imagined in a million years. And well, if I have to start paying Stadia so I can better inform you guys on what's happening, well, so be it then. Google, feel free and send over the contract, because this channel isn't for Stadia only, but it's for you, the community, and it isn't just for cloud gaming either. And as for the rest of cloud gaming itself and its future, well, without a doubt in my mind, I'm looking forward to seeing how that is, and I am definitely excited to ride that journey with you guys on this long and beautiful highway. Either way, guys, thank you guys for watching from the bottom of my heart. Oh man, like always, guys, this was a tough video. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Sunny, and I'll see you guys in the cloud.